Hi, I'm Valerie Brown of Travel Adventures with Valerie Brown. I'm a senior travel blogger and I want to inspire you to travel to see the world. Today's episode is going to be about going to New York City. Most people want to go to New York at least once in their lifetime, and I'm going to tell you how to do it and the least expensive way to do it. You can do it on a budget or you can spend your life savings. You can stay on the outskirts of Manhattan by LaGuardia, Kennedy, or Newark Airport, but then you're going to have travel into Manhattan an hour and a half to 2 hours by bus and subway. That's not how I want to spend my time in New York. I'm going to tell you how to get the most out of New York in 3 days. Why only 3 days? Because New York is expensive. And 3 days, you can spend a lot of money in 3 days in New York. Most people will be arriving in New York by the airplanes, and they're going to come into LaGuardia or Kennedy. If you're coming in by train, you're going to arrive in Grand Central Station, and by bus, you're going to go to Penn Station. And from there, you're going to have to take a cab, which is not expensive. Arriving in New York into either Kennedy or LaGuardia, you have a couple of options here. I used to take Gray Line buses into Grand Central Station, which was approximately $17, but then I had to pay for a taxi to my hotel, which became more expensive. What I do recommend is Super Shuttle, which is located outside of the baggage area, because it's safer and it works out to be cheaper. It's $22 per ride to Times Square, but they will drop you right in front of your hotel. Now, if you're coming out of Newark, it's going to be a little bit higher. You're now spending $27 on Super Shuttle. And there are other ways of doing it. You can do Uber. Uber from Kennedy or LaGuardia is $45. It's about the same during non-peak times out of Newark. You can get a hired car out of either airport, any of the airports, and that's going to run you $75 to $150. Now, a taxi is going to run you $60 to $75 from Kennedy or LaGuardia, about $125 from Newark. But it can be higher with taxis depending on how much traffic and what the weather is like. Next, I'm going to talk about some inexpensive hostels. There's about 4 of them in New York, but they're bare bones. They're clean, they're serviceable, but they're nothing fancy. The Broadway Hotel and Hostel has rates from $41 per night, and that's located near Central Park on the west side. The West Side YMCA, which is on the west side YMCA, if that makes sense, starts at $109 per night. The Blue Moon Boutique Hotel is located on the Lower East Side, and their rates start at $49 per night. In High New York City Hostel has rates starting at $41 per night, but they fill up really fast because everybody wants those lower rates. Now, I know everybody wants to stay in Times Square at the Hiltons and the Marriotts and the Westons, and that's great, but now you're looking at a rate of $425 a night and up. And they don't always tell you about the taxes. If you look in the description, they'll say it's $325 per day, like a resort fee, and then it's another 8.9% tax. But honestly, when you're finished, that same hotel rate in taxes and fees comes up to over 30% more. A couple of hotels that I can recommend that are 4 and 5 star hotels near the theater district, just a block away, is either the Paramount or the Manhattan at Times Square. Their typical rate is $350 a night, which is still less than the Hiltons and the Westons. But if you can wait until a few days before, you can get that same hotels, those same 2 hotels for $125 a night if there's not a convention in town. Remember what I said about your life savings? It can cost a lot of money for just 2 nights. Staying in Times Square at a Hilton, you're looking at about $1,500. It's a lot of money. You can stay on the outskirts by the airport, and typically those hotels cost $158 a night, which is great, but now again you've got that 2-hour travel time in and out to get to Manhattan. I would recommend that you get a Metro card while you're at the airport at the Hudson newsstands. That you're going to use that the most for the next few days, and you can get them right there. If you're driving in, you're looking at parking a minimum of $30 to $50 per day, and if it's in Times Square, again, it's going to be $50 a day and up. I would also recommend doing 1 day on the hop-on, hop-off bus tour. This gives you a highlight of the city. It gives you the history of the city as you ride around and points out all the different points to you. And then you can go back and visit those other places the same day or the next day. But it is more of a highlights tour. It gives you a lot of information. If you want to see some Broadway shows, you can get tickets ahead of time. And one of the places I have used in the past is BroadwayWorld.com. But typically those tickets cost $175 per ticket and up. Or you can wait until the day that you want to see a show and go to Times Square, and there's a booth there. It's Times Square tickets. It's actually a very big booth. And you can buy tickets there for what's available from $75 a ticket. Sites not to be missed: the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building, but to go to the top now is a $50 fee, and the World Trade Center. The most famous restaurant that I've been to in New York is the Russian Tea Room. But there are so many good restaurants, and it seems like there's a restaurant every 3 to 5 feet, so I'm not going to recommend any more. Now I am going to recommend a few free things that you can do on Fridays from 4 to 8 at the MoMA Museum, the Museum of Modern Art, New York. It's free to the public. And every day from 9 to 9:30 a.m. the Sculpture Garden is open to the public for free. On Tuesdays, if you go to Brooklyn to their Botanic Gardens, they have free entrance. You can ride the Staten Island Ferry every day for free. And don't forget to see the Whispering Gallery in Grand Central Station. So I hope I've inspired you to go to New York City. I love going there. I go whenever I can afford it. I really enjoy going there. I go as a solo, and sometimes I go with friends, but it's a lot of fun and I really do enjoy it. Nobody has paid me to talk about any of these hotels or ticket places. It's just places that I've personally experienced and I want you to try as well. I'm hoping I inspire you to travel to New York and other places. And my name is Valerie Brown, and I have a website, blog, newsletter, www.TAWVB.com. Please look, subscribe, like, do all that for me. Thanks a lot.